You probably didn't see this coming, but while you were trying to keep up with bills, a federal judge just dropped a bombshell ruling that could flip the entire system of medical debt reporting upside down. And if you're living in America and have ever seen a hospital bill you couldn't afford, this decision directly affects you, even if you don't realize it yet. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that the medical debt that's been choking your credit score for years might no longer appear. On your report, no collections, no red flags, no credit score damage from an emergency room visit you never planned for. This isn't some hypothetical, it's happening now, and the implications are massive, not just for people already in debt but for how credit reports will work in the future, because for decades credit bureaus have treated medical bills like any other debt. Even though hospitals and healthcare providers operate on different timelines, with insurance complications and billing errors that often aren't the patient's fault, and this ruling finally acknowledges that reality. But wait, before you celebrate, you need to understand what this really means. Yes, the judge's decision stops certain types of medical debt from being reported on your credit file, particularly those that have been paid or are under a certain dollar amount, and yes, this could help millions of Americans suddenly see their credit scores go up without paying another dollar. But here's the part nobody's talking about. Lenders and credit agencies are already preparing to change how they assess creditworthiness, meaning that even if medical debt disappears from the report, they might find new ways to evaluate your risk, like analyzing your spending patterns or payment histories with utilities. So what looks like a victory could quickly evolve into a new game of financial profiling, and if you're not ready, you'll lose again. Because this system wasn't built for fairness, it was built to assess risk in favor of banks, not borrowers, and unless you know how to move next, you could find yourself shut out of loans, mortgages, or even rental agreements despite this ruling. So let's walk through what this ruling actually covers. The court blocked the major credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, from including specific kinds of medical debt on credit reports, especially those under $500 or those already paid, acknowledging that such debts disproportionately hurt low-income Americans, many of whom faced billing errors or delays with insurance, and let's be honest, in the US, getting sick is expensive, even with insurance. One ambulance ride, one broken arm, one emergency room visit can mean thousands in debt before you even get a diagnosis, so this change is a recognition of how flawed and punishing our system has been. But what should you do right now? First, check your credit report today. See what medical debts are listed, because they might already be eligible for removal, especially if paid or under the $500 mark. Second, contact the credit bureaus directly if those debts still appear, because you now have legal ground to challenge them. Third, do not ignore outstanding medical bills thinking they no longer matter. This ruling affects credit reporting, not collections. So providers can still come after you, charge interest, and even sue you, depending on your state. And fourth, keep detailed records of all insurance payments and bills going forward, because even as this law gives you some relief, errors in reporting can still happen, and having your documents in order could make all the difference. Now let's talk bigger picture. What happens to people who are just now entering the healthcare system, or those without insurance who get slapped with outrageous bills? This ruling might ease their future credit pain, but it won't stop the bills from coming, so until we get structural healthcare reform, debt from illness will remain a very real part of American life. But this ruling? This is a start, a precedent, a moment where the legal system stood up and said, enough, people shouldn't be punished for getting sick, especially not in their credit scores, and that is powerful. But don't forget, the same institutions that punished you before are already adapting, and the next wave of scoring metrics might be even less transparent, using AI, digital data, and algorithmic tracking to assess who's risky and who's not. Meaning that while this win matters, staying informed matters more, and this is where your power comes in, not just knowing what changed, but knowing how to move next. Talk to a non-profit credit counselor, set up alerts on your credit file, and educate your family and friends, because if this ruling becomes the new normal, it will only stay that way if people understand it and demand it be enforced. And here's the final twist. While the federal court made this decision, it doesn't mean every medical provider or collector will follow it immediately. So, watch out for shady third-party collectors who might still try to report to minor agencies or use scare tactics to get payments. Document everything, record phone calls if legal in your state, and report violations to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Because this is your right now, and if you're still watching this, you're one step ahead of the millions of Americans who haven't heard about this yet and might continue living under the crushing weight of medical debt without knowing the chains are already breaking. So don't wait, act, share this video, empower someone else, and realize that for once, the system bent a little in your favor, and if we stay loud, stay informed, and stay united, maybe, just maybe, the next ruling will go even further.